What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Rock and Roll Gypsy Diaries. I am your host, Andi Thunders, the Rock and Roll Gypsy himself, and I am here with Central Pennsylvania local winners, Defiant, metal band. How are you guys?
Hello.
What's
Very
up?
well. How are
You're
you doing?
very new on my radar. You're doing very well for yourselves. We'll get into some of the people I've been told that you're opening up for. But first of all, I'd like you to just go around and introduce yourselves and tell us about, what started you on your personal musical path and what your influences were and what made you say, I want to play music in a rock band.
Go ahead, Paul.
I'm Paul Cochran, PC, PMFC, the drummer, and Metallica is what got me started when I was 8 years old. So I'm a lifelong Metallica fan, regardless if people hate them or not. I don't give a shit.
I'm
I
a
heard
Kiss fan. I can kind of understand that.
And that's why I wanted to be.
I'm Big Al. I play guitar and do vocals. When I was a kid, my dad played acoustic guitar. I grew up with more of like the 60s and 70s psychedelic age of music, a lot of Americana and like classic country, a lot of John Prine, Hank Williams Sr. What really got me into rock music was later on in life. Good friends of mine showed me punk. So your Misfits, Rancid, Anti-Flag, Casualties, Dead Kennedys, and stuff like that. But I played acoustic guitar for probably 10 years before I ever picked up an electric guitar, because my dad always said that if you can't prove to me you can play guitar on acoustic, you don't deserve to play an electric because it's easier. So I finally got an electric guitar after about 10 years, and I'm still trash at guitar, so I don't know what he was saying.
I'm Joe. I play guitar. I don't know. It's been a long journey, I guess. But I mean, I grew up listening to kind of like the melodic 80s music, but it didn't speak to me in the way that I thought I could do that. But then when I got into probably high school, it kind of was that resurgence of the garage band because of Nirvana and Alice in Chains and that era where everybody probably, at least in my circle, started to wind to play guitar, because like you could look at people and say, I could probably do that.
Yeah.
I can't shred, but I can do that.
Really.
And that led me to, like, actually I found the Germs through Nirvana because Pat Smear joined them, and that kind of led me down the punk. And then the college music scene that I was in had a lot of punk,
Yeah.
and I really got hooked on stuff like Social Distortion and kind of went backwards from there. I guess, went backwards into punk instead of punk leading me elsewhere. But so I kind of have a mix of all that. And I think that's what kind of makes us a little bit unique in our area. We don't all come from the exact same influences.
And then Paul B., our bassist, who couldn't be here, he grew up in Jersey, in the punk scene in Jersey.
Hardcore punk.
So he grew up in the hardcore scene, played bass in a bunch of bands. But he's a big Sabbath guy. Really into Clutch, a lot of Doom. So Typo Negative, Corrosions of Conformity, Down,
Electric Wizard.
Electric Wizard, King Gizzard, the Lizard Wizard, stuff like that. So he's really into that. But I mean, it's cool. We have all these different influences. I don't really think any of us really will on a daily basis listen to the same music as each other. So we bring all of that in. And I think that's what really gives Defiant a unique sound that's really refreshing, is because we could put all those influences together.
Yeah. Kind of throw everything in the pot and kind of see what happens and make it a workable unit. Because when you throw a lot of things in the pot, sometimes it can get really confusing, but it takes something to kind of almost simplify it in a way, if that makes any sense, almost.
Oh, we do have confusing songs.
Like, what are we doing here?
We have a couple of songs where after the song is done, you're pretty sure you have a fever.
Yeah. Is it that kind of reaction sometimes to audiences who are kind of new to you, maybe, or like where they're like,
we were first,
kind of
when we were first starting off and really didn't. Yeah, when we really didn't have like much of a fan base, or we were doing small club shows, just getting our foot in the door. there were definitely times where we would play songs and it would just be complete silence. And I don't think it was like an awestruck, like, wow, that was incredible silence. It was a more of like, we're not sure if we're okay or not silence.
Why is this man yelling
Yeah.
at me?
But see, at the same time, that's what happened at the early first Sex Pistols gigs. That kind of gets you
for sure.
remembered for like, it's not exactly that it was bad. It's just they don't know how to react because they don't have anything to relate it to. They're just like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah, it makes us tough to pair with sometimes too.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a lot of good friends in other bands in the area, and they don't necessarily sound like us, even though we all like each other and want to play shows together. I think it can confuse the audience at times, like, what am I coming to see? But I think I don't know. If you win 25% of the room over, you've been successful. It's a good night. You're not going to win everybody over.
I think it's a fun challenge.
I think there's some of that, but I think also because of where our style is, we actually match with a lot of people as well. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I think we've definitely played shows where we've left like, well, that wasn't as good of a match as we thought it was going to be. But I would say because of where our music falls, we can kind of fit in pretty good. I
was gonna say you probably do well in both the punk, the hardcore, and the doom scenes alone because they're so much more open-minded than some of the generic music goers that you get sometimes.
We don't have a lot of doom bands here, but I think we would definitely fit really well with doom.
Yeah, you guys should definitely try to make it out. I'm gonna be there this year, Maryland Doom Fest.
Oh yeah,
I still have to book my hotel, but
really?
Fashionably late on everything as always. But you know, something like that would probably be good for
Traverse
you.
probably.
I'll pass your name to the guy who runs it.
Sure, I would appreciate
what
it.
I can do for you on that level. So when did you guys come together and when did Defiant start and what kind of stuff were you playing at first? What kind of stuff?
We were playing Neil Young.
Any easy
CCR.
Yeah, any easy 4-chord cover that we could get in a room and
so
play together.
Joe, Colby, our bassist, the original drummer, were playing. I don't know how long you guys were together. Probably 6 months in 2018. Beginning of 2018.
We just could not find a singer.
And I had been out of the music scene for probably about 3 years. The last band I was in left a really bad taste in my mouth as far as bands go. There was a lot of egos, a lot of drama.
I have the same similar experience.
So I really didn't play music at all for about 3 years. I was focused on working. I was working on, with my now wife, working on keeping our relationship together and rekindling that, as well as finding a house. So I was on Craigslist one day because I just said, you know what, I think I'm ready to get back in the music scene. And originally, I saw Defiant, and they needed a vocalist. And I have always done like a couple of backup lines for bands I've been in, like one yell or two in a song, but I've never been a full-time vocalist. So I said, well, that'll be really interesting. And so I messaged like 4 bands. Defiant was the only one that responded. So I said, well, it must be fate.
Yeah.
It really was like Rockin' in the Free World. We did a Helmet cover.
Nice.
Rage. I think we did do a Clutch song.
Nice.
Big News 1. And so I came knowing most of the songs, did a jam. The original drummer said, oh, well, we'll give you a call if we think you're a right fit. I didn't know at the time they've already been through 4 vocalists that were all terrible, and I was the first semi-decent one. So Joe walks me out the door and he says, please don't go to anybody else. Like, you're coming back. We got a couple practices in. They found out, it kind of came up in conversation that I played guitar. So I brought my guitar in. That's when we started writing some original music. We started really getting our ball rolling with originals. But we kind of stagnated for a little bit at the end of 2018 into December because the original drummer didn't really want to be an original act. He felt more comfortable being a cover act. The rest of us felt differently. So we parted ways. And Paul Cochran was in another band that we had played with. And we'd asked him if he wanted to join. He graciously said yes. And we've just kind of been killing it ever since.
Nice. And what were some of the earliest shows you played, and do you have any funny or crazy stories from the road, like from any shows you played, anything that's like, only could
The
happen at a
original
rock
drummer,
show?
one time we had to restart the same song 3 times because he was really bad.
Now we only have to restart them twice.
Yeah, now we're down to
Okay.
2. So for sure. Yeah. I mean, well, we played actually like we really played a lot of shows when we first got together. Our first show was with Puddle of Mud.
Oh wow.
At Reverb. So that was, and it was on one of Wes Scantlon's good days, apparently, because he had a really good show that day.
You don't hear about that too often.
Yeah, it's very legendary. So yeah, that was our first show. We played with Mustache, which is a Swedish metal band.
Nice. Okay.
And that kind of got our foot in the door. We played a bunch of local shows, just a bunch of local bands for a while, just because, again, we were working on PR, working on getting some, our contact info to some big people to book some bigger shows. At
You're
that
just a
time,
working band too,
at the original drummer left. That's probably another funny story. The original drummer left 2 days before we had a show. He quit.
God.
And we didn't want to cancel the show, so Joe hired a drummer to learn our songs in 48 hours.
We had 1 hour and a half practice, and
Big Norm.
that was it.
He killed it too. It was great.
Yeah, we pulled
Yeah.
it off.
Well, I mean, that's what session musicians are good for. I mean, that's why,
Yeah, definitely.
and I gotta say, I wish I had that kind of musical acumen to be able to just learn something like a whole set in 48 hours and rehearse for an hour and a half and boom. You know what I mean? To be able to be that much of a chameleon. I don't have it in me though.
Yeah.
Like, what is music theory and why do I need it?
I'm actually starting to relearn music theory now because it's definitely helping with my technique, with my musical understanding, because I'm a very much a guitar player. Like, I know that this works, but I don't know.
I'm slowly learning it too. It's just, I did everything backwards.
I think, and then, we started working with bigger bands. It's really wild that a lot of our fan base came from like Kicks. When we played with Kicks for the first time.
Yeah, that is wild to think about, crazy.
That's where we first hit the mark. And we definitely didn't think we would fit with Kiss, but everybody there loved us. And that's kind of what started this crazy journey off as, us realizing that we could do something.
Yeah,
even if it's just a little small thing, even if we're just kind of that locally known band of legend that played for 10 years and then disappeared. And then we played with LA Guns, played with Kicks again.
Nice. Which LA Guns did you play with though? I'm curious.
Phil and Tracy.
Yeah, Phil and
Nice.
Tracy.
I'm going to see them in Buffalo in June.
Nice.
Yeah.
And Ace. That's when I got to first meet Ace Von Johnson.
Nice. I'm looking forward because I know Faster's playing Faster Pussycat, and I've met Tim once before, and I've already arranged where I can meet him again here. I'm hoping that I can get in with and meet Phil and Tracy, because I interviewed Phil in 2019, and that was a trip. That was my first on the phone interview, and he basically said I was people like me and other young bands are an inspiration to him, and I was just like, okay. Next question. I was just like, how do you respond to that? What was your favorite act that you've played with? If you would have to pick a favorite, like which one sticks out as the weirdest, maybe would be a better question.
The weirdest was Green Jelly.
Oh my
God. That was wild.
That was a wild night.
That was listen, nothing but props to that dude. He plays to the bit. He loves what he does, but holy shit, that was weird to be a part of.
Yeah, that was definitely an experience for sure.
For people who don't know, who might be younger listeners, they were the one who did the heavy metal Three Little Pigs.
Yes, the Three
Correct.
Little Pigs song.
I'd imagine it would be similar to something like Guar.
Yeah.
Like with 25 musicians on stage,
Right.
right?
He
Yeah,
doesn't tour with the band.
Because he doesn't tour with the band,
Wow.
like just local people get
Yeah,
on.
he finds
Yeah.
local people to come up every city and be his backing band.
So when
That's
we were
fucking
done
cool,
playing,
though.
like whoever was doing the drums for him, like came up to me and like he needed my hi-hat, my snare drum. He didn't even have all of his gear, right?
They had like 5 guitarists, like all crammed in, and everybody's got the big jumbo like masks on. That was probably the weirdest. I think my favorite show is going to be next week. We open for Doyle.
Oh
And
yeah.
I think that's gonna be Doyle is like was probably after, you know, whenever I was a kid, it was Jerry Garcia, it was Eric Clapton, stuff like that. But my first like in my adolescence rock idol was Doyle in the Misfits. I thought just the look was cool. I love like super shitty B horror movies.
Yeah,
Um,
and I'm from the same avenue, so I get why you'd be excited to open
Yeah.
for Doyle.
We were supposed to open for him right before the lockdown happened in 2020. That ended up getting moved and then canceled. So for him to be able to come back and us to be able to finally open for him is going to be so sick. I mean, I would cut my left nut off to be able to just high five him.
Right?
But other than that, I mean, we've opened for some crazy bands. We opened for
Buck Cherry.
Buck Cherry twice.
Nice.
And that was a memorable night, just the first time we played with them, because we played this place Chameleon in Lancaster.
Yeah.
But their AC had like broke that day.
Oh yeah.
It was like 200 fucking degrees in there, it felt like, right?
Holy
And
fuck.
it was wild, but the crowd delivered, all the bands delivered, like we made it through. But man, that was like the talk for like a year of how hot that place was.
Yeah, that was awful.
I can only imagine what it would be like underneath those stage lights. And I imagine this was in the summer, if you know, you're saying
Right.
It was like July,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Fuck,
Dude,
It's stupid.
Yeah.
that's
Jeff, who's your
rough.
favorite band that we played with?
I don't know who my favorite would be. I don't know.
We technically played with John 5.
Nice.
Yeah, I played at a
Yeah.
festival with him. I don't know if I have a favorite. I mean, as far as shows, probably the first Kick show, just because it was the first time we're at a merch booth and people were asking for our autographs, and we're looking at each other like, "What the fuck is going on?"
Also, to be full off direct support for that was insane.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah.
I
Last
mean,
minute.
the worst for me was probably Black Dahlia Murder. I just wanted to get the fuck out of the room as fast as I could. Like, I don't know why we were booked on the Black Dahlia Murder. Like, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
We've
like they
opened for-
played great, but that was one like earlier that I said, like that ended up not being a great
No, we
night.
didn't.
No, like
Yeah.
who? Like nobody really dug us. They weren't looking for our sound there, and it was a little scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one we
Who
didn't
else-
belong.
Who did we
but
open for in Capital Room that we did really well with? Is that
Jimmy's Chicken Shack.
Jimmy's Chicken Shack?
Yeah,
That was
Jimmy's
really good.
Chicken Shack.
Nice. I've heard that name quite a lot.
Texas Hippie was really good.
Yeah, that
too.
was good.
Yeah, the Texas Hippie Coalition was a good show.
Now, see, that
I like
could
when we
see
play with really
more
cool
working
local
out
bands that are
for me.
super nice. Those are probably my favorite shows right now. I love playing local shows. Like we just did a show with Club XL, which is like a really big venue in Harrisburg, with a band, another local band from here, Eternal Frequency. And some of their members came up onto stage and did our last song with us, and that was like one of the most fun things
Oh,
I think
that
we've
is
ever
cool.
done as a band.
Yeah.
That was a blast. It's just fun to play. It's fun to play on stage. Every night's a different night. Every night's a challenge when you play.
Yeah.
You're always gonna fuck up. You're always gonna have issues, but at the end of the day, it's just fun to be able to get out, play, get people's minds off the wild world for a little bit, and then
Yeah.
teach them.
Yeah.
It's very
But
may have
I'm sure lyric wise, you have some kind of
Man in Power was a really fun show,
sociological
too.
leanings.
Yeah, I do a lot of reading. I was always like an English person in school, and I was a
Me
history
too.
buff in school. So
suck
I was
at
like,
math.
I was AP English. I was, physics. I was history and everything. But so a lot of
Yeah,
my
that was
songs have deep rooted research.
Yeah.
Which is kind of to our detriment a little bit, because a lot of our songs are a little bit hard to digest because of that. Because when I start off by saying like, hey, this song is about George Orwell's 1984, if you
Yeah.
haven't read the book, you're not going to understand. This next song is about the first crusades that the Christians did on Jerusalem.
Yeah.
At the turn of the 11th century. This song is about the Salem witch trials and going to the gallows and stuff. So
You know why it's kind of heavy to take? Because there's still certain elements of that type of stuff still happening in the world, and people get really uncomfortable when you call it out.
yeah, I
Are
definitely.
you influenced by a band called Crass by any chance?
I've never heard them.
Crass, C-R-A-S-S. As an old school punker, you need to check them out. They were that's the 78 to 82
Right on.
birth of anarcho-punk, which gave birth to like the Subhumans, Discharge,
Right.
crossover. But they are really unique, and the stuff they write about and said back then, good Lord. Like, I think it may actually help you write more venomous stuff. I don't know.
For sure. I mean, like, I really do enjoy writing lyrics. When I was a kid, I wrote poetry all the time. Now, when I was a kid, I was like an emo kid, or like a fake emo kid, because I didn't dress like an emo. I was just really sad all the time.
I was somewhere between
and like I listened to My Chemical Romance,
the metalheads and the goths. I didn't
like I listened to My Chemical Romance and Hawthorne Heights, so technically I was in it. So all my poetry was super uber cringy, and it's great. And my Facebook, like, I have a really fun hobby where I find old Facebook memories of me like posting really cringy, sad shit from like 2012 when I was in high school.
Yes, own your cringe, because we all
dude,
were.
I love it. But a lot of that, like, now when we write, like, I really sit down, like, we're writing some new stuff right now, and it's really got me excited again, because I'm able to kind of dig back into that whole system of when I'm writing a song, what do I want the song about? Okay, now I need like 3 or 4 hours worth of research to make sure this song is good. Break out my thesaurus, because I gotta write, ridiculous words like usurped into my song.
Yeah.
But it's fun, and the rest of the guys dig it, and they let me do my stuff. I don't think any of them could write better, so I do it.
There was a story that's kind of similar to that from David Johansen when they reunited with the New York Dolls in 2006. Yeah. When they were working on that comeback record, I think David Johansen's like, man, I wish I was in a band that wrote simpler words, because like even though it was a punky sounding song, they're like using big words, like that, and it's just like, he's like, man, how do I make this work into glitter rock? And I'm sure when you're researching, you have to find other words. Like I have to use an online thesaurus for things like poetry to find another word to use that would fit better.
I have a really bad habit in a lot of my, it doesn't really happen a lot in our songs, but when I'm initially writing, I have like recycled phrases that I constantly try to put in lyrics that I have a really bad habit of doing, that I'm working on breaking. But yeah, like guns, I always end up putting guns into my lyrics, or like shooting yourself. It always ends up coming up. Maybe it's subliminal messaging, I don't know.
I mean, we live in a very gun culture, so it's kind of everywhere. It's hard not to be.
I'm trying to work on an NRA sponsorship right now. They haven't called me back. I think I told them I was centrist, and they got really upset and like left me on red.
That's the funny thing. I classify myself as an anarchist, but I'm not out throwing bricks or anything like that. I just do my own thing outside of everybody else.
I'm too old for riots.
Right?
I don't like standing at work. Now I don't want to stand at a protest.
Yeah. I mean, I went to a show in Buffalo the other night, and like we were all like, late 20s, early 30s or older. So it was actually really hysterical, because we'd all like really get into it. Then we'd have to step back.
Right.
So if I can't even completely like skank dance through a whole entire 2-hour show anymore, I'm not throwing a brick through a window.
Skank dancing? Is Real Big Fish doing a tour right now?
It was a ska punk band from Houston called Escape from the Zoo that I'm with. And the singer Jesse is also in a folk punk band called Days and Days, which if you haven't heard folk punk, knowing what Americana influences,
for sure,
punk influences, it's already probably intrigued you.
I'll definitely have to check it out.
It's literally like punk rock done with like folk music and instrumentation.
Nice.
It's wild. It's fun. There's a lot of garbage in the genre, but there's a lot of good bands.
Listen, we are the garbage, and we are proof that garbage can still succeed.
There is nothing wrong with garbage. Be
No.
trash. So you mentioned the tour with Doyle. You're going to be open.
No, not a tour.
Oh, just a show. Okay.
A show.
So, yeah.
Oh my God.
You wish. You could probably get there.
One day, maybe.
I mean, shit, you're opening for him. That opens up a door, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd say Doyle's kind of like, as far as iconography goes, and this isn't meant as an insult, but he's kind of like the Johnny Thunders of horror punk. He's like the be all of that era and genre for what
He's
does.
the entry. Yeah, I mean, Misfits are always going to be the entry into horror punk, and for a lot of people, punk in general.
Yeah,
A lot
like,
of people just, because Misfits, like,
Misfits
iconography
are one
is
of the
everywhere.
first bands you get into when you start getting into punk. Like,
Right.
it was literally the Sex Pistols, the Ramones, and the Misfits, and the Dead Kennedys. Those are my first four, you know? But, so what else are you going to be doing? Or are you kind of, is it up in the air?
We have a show with Doyle next week.
Next Wednesday at HMAC. And we're off the rest of April. And we have 3 shows in May. One is like a local show up in Allentown. One is opening for a band called Blackwater Drowning at Love Drafts in Mechanicsburg. And then we have a festival in Hanover, Maryland with like Tantric
Yeah, Tantric, Jimmy's Chicken Shack,
and Flaw
and Flaw.
Nice.
on May 21st. So,
And a bunch of local bands that we've played with.
Awesome.
No,
That's
it.
it?
Yeah, that's it.
Nice.
no, that's all. Then we just have, I don't know. Our labels got stuff they're trying to get us to do. We'll see what happens. We're lazy.
Yeah. I just had a kid, so I mean,
Hey, like I said, I completely understand that. You earn every right to be lazy when you get a chance, man.
Yeah. and right now we're focusing on writing. Like, we really have kind of
Well, we
slacked
haven't
off.
written in a year.
Right, we've really slacked off with writing new music, so we're definitely trying to focus in on getting some
Okay,
tunes
yeah.
written.
All right. Well, hopefully, I look forward to what you come out with. What label are you guys on, by the way?
Curtain Call Records.
Okay. So far, good treatment, good support,
Yeah.
and everything. Nice.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they haven't made me upset yet.
That's good. I've heard good things recently from quite a few different bands, from Golden Robot Records and a lot of different new labels that I haven't even heard of. So I'm like, am I out of touch with shit? At the end of the day, though, and each one of you can answer individually or you can answer collectively, and there's no right or wrong, but this is my famous question to everybody I interview. What is it at the end of the day that you guys love about music?
Occasionally I get to see a girl's rack. That's pretty cool.
We have never seen a girl's rack.
I
Don't
have.
lie.
I have.
At our show.
So it was at our
And it
show.
was on purpose.
Yeah, she was really drunk, really large, and really sweaty. And it was upstairs at Chameleon out on the deck. Sarah and I were sitting there. And she was on her boyfriend's lap, which God love him for being able to endure that. And she looks me dead in the eyes and she says, "You deserve this." Takes her shirt off, completely topless, immediately gets thrown out of the bar.
I wasn't there. I was
Yeah.
at the merch booth, I guess.
I get to speak my voice. I feel like music is really one of the only ways that I can, without fear, speak my true feelings about a lot of issues. I feel like we all are really large proponents for social equality. We're all big supporters of trans rights, of gay rights, of race rights, work rights, like when it comes to, and it's not even like an equality thing, it's an equity thing.
Yeah. Everybody needs what they need.
Deserves their equity in every situation. So I feel like we really have a lot of fun pushing buttons with
Especially coming where you're from, because I'm from that area and they don't.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Pennsylvania is a red state. It's very Republican focused, which is cool. I mean, you like what you like, believe what you want to believe. You should always believe in something regardless. But we do have a lot, like at our award speech, we're just straight up talking about, how we support trans rights. On my personal Facebook, I'm supporting Leah Thomas and her winning, her first NCAA swim race.
Yeah.
And a lot of people get mad at that, and it brings joy to my heart that people get angry at what a random butt rock musician is saying about
right. Like, I speaking for myself, I've always been in favor of that, and growing up in that area was so difficult because you feel like you're hunted or you're targeted, and anti-intellectualism has always been a thing, but we're not elites. The information is available. You just choose.
Like you can do research. It's okay. Like you can
it's
read
not
more than one
elitist
article.
to have
one
knowledge.
Yeah, but I think music to us, and I think I can speak for the band in saying that we still have Defiant and we still do what we do because it's never a drama show. It's never an ego show. It's never a dick measuring contest. We always come and have fun. We're just a bunch of punk heads who like playing music. And we love, preaching the good gospel of butt rock.
Yeah.
I don't know what
nice. It's nice to, have someone, because
we do lose. That's true.
Some of my guests aren't always open to talking about certain political things and stuff and keep it vague, but it's nice to have,
as long as you're not a dick about it, I don't care what you
I don't view it as political.
No.
Treating everyone the same.
Sociological, really, because
why should that be political?
Yeah.
Just treat everyone with respect and love. And why? I don't know. I hate that it's
just
become
treat
politicized.
people like they're human beings.
Yeah, everybody's a human.
That's literally all it's about.
That's difficult to comprehend. Like
that's what Bob Dylan was saying back in '63, though. So
yeah,
something's not right here.
People who say this is like a new issue, like in 1956, I believe, I might be a year or two off on that, Ed Wood Jr., legendary director of Plan 9 from Outer Space, released a movie specifically targeting transgenders. He made a movie where he was a man and wanted to be a woman and was dealing with that. It's an incredibly low budget movie, but the fact, like, this is not a new issue. This isn't like a new angle thing for people to fit in. And what ogles my brain is people think that when you say stuff like you believe in trans rights and you believe in gay rights, they feel like you're attacking them personally because they don't believe it, and they get so offended.
I know, right? Like somehow giving people equal rights will take something away from them.
Right.
Yeah.
And
with the whole Leah Thomas, people are like, oh, well, she shouldn't be competing in women's sports. And I said, listen, dude, just if it's a gender thing to you, just get rid of genders, because I know plenty of women who want to play football and who can beat shit out of a lot of dudes in football.
I mean, I was ignorant at one point, and I even asked my wife because the Boy Scouts thing a few years ago.
Right.
And I was like, don't they teach the same thing? She's like, no, they do not. They teach you how to quilt and shit like that. They don't, it's basically home ec for girls.
But being ignorant, admitting that you were ignorant and you know better is a much more respectable and more honorable thing than knowing you're ignorant and doing nothing to change it.
Exactly.
Here's the thing. Like, you cannot cry for equality while you're still crying for segregation. Like,
exactly.
You can't fight for both things. And like, I feel like in things that conversations I've been in, that's exactly what's going on.
Yeah.
Like, I've been in very recent conversations where it starts off with everybody needs to be treated equal. These folks, though, they need to have their own thing. I'm like, what does that mean?
Yeah. I hate that.
Like, I thought we were just talking about everybody being equal.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make sense. So I don't know where we're at with all that.
When somebody says something, I believe in such and such rights, but there needs to be a line drawn.
Right. It needs
That's
to
a
be
red
drawn in the
flag.
things that I like. Like right now, it's sports.
Yeah.
This makes me uncomfortable with sports, so I don't want it here. What?
What?
That doesn't make any sense.
Oh,
This one NCAA women's swim meet that I didn't watch makes me angry.
Right.
right.
I've never
Well,
once in my
you
life
know-
watched women's swimming, but dang it.
While
just
the
think it's weird that
outrage
people
for
think
swimmers like
everyone
Brock
is
Turner
good.
get
Yeah, no. Why
Right.
is the thing with Leah Thomas? It's like, you know, like, oh well, her body structure, it makes it her an unfair challenge. Bro, Shaq is 7'5".
Right.
And you got people who are 5'10" who are supposed to compete with him. But that is justifiable. Like, you can't
And-
pick and choose what's gonna be a thing.
And the other thing is, and if they do any or know anything about it, which they usually don't, a lot of times when you're going male to female, the hormone replacement therapy takes away from a lot of that masculine muscle mass.
HGH changes your bone structure, it changes your muscle mass, it
Yep.
changes everything about, and even people who aren't transitioning, like AFABs, females at birth, who have to take, estrogen medication, because they don't produce enough, or or
Exactly.
people who have to take testosterone. Like, I know women who have to take testosterone because it's not
Yeah.
it's not just a transition thing.
No, but it's strange, and it's nice to have some common allies. I mean, I don't get it, and I'm just glad that we're moving farther and farther away from that old adage that doesn't work anymore,
Out with the old.
in with the new, and
That's
it's
right.
Defiant,
Why do I have to retire at 65, but all the politicians are in their 80s?
right? Oh, look at Sammy Hagar versus Bill Clinton. You guys made the right choice.
Yeah.
He just played around here.
It was a private show.
Yeah, Sam Hagar.
72, 73 years old. Still sounds incredible.
Right?
That's wild.
And he doesn't look a day older than like late 40s, maybe.
No.
Right. He looks great.
I had
Same
no
with
idea. He's like
Ringo.
older than Robert
Right.
Plant.
But he takes care of himself.
Is he really?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Same with Ringo. He looks great for 80. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
He looks 40.
Right.
I hope we
Yeah.
look great when we're 80.
We won't.
Yeah.
You've got to tap
No,
into that
No,
fountain of youth.
I'm not gonna make 80.
I'm gonna need 2 knee surgeries by the time I'm 40. Jeez. Playing shows when I'm in a wheelchair for a little bit.
There you go. Steve Grimmett style. You can still rock it.
Uh-huh. We Mick Mars, build me a throne.
I saw Axl Rose in a cast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw him open for ACD. I saw him with ACDC.
How was that?
Ah,
That was really, really fucking incredible.
I forget.
You know, I heard a
forget
clip.
that he did that.
I only heard a clip and I thought he pulled that off really well.
He's really the only vocalist that it would make sense to replace Brian Johnson.
In reality, he only filled in. All of that other
Right.
stuff was conjecture.
Right.
Right. But like vocal style, you can't really find anybody else. That's
He
that much
loved
better.
Bon Scott so much that he had that sleazy swagger as a frontman anyway that we haven't seen in AC/DC since Bon. But he
Right.
had the range to be able to do the early Bond stuff and the Brian Johnson stuff. Him doing Back in Black was almost like listening to the fucking record. He had that range like just almost perfect. Like you could tell it's Axl, but it worked. I
Yeah.
haven't heard that song sung with such veracity live, ever in AC/DC. Like the live versions, and the live DVDs. They're all semi-recent of Brian, not when he was younger. But
Mhm.
I don't know what it is and why Axl doesn't sing like that in Guns, but holy shit. He delivered and then some.
He's already getting paid. Why does he need to try?
Oh, I mean, but they pulled out Live Wire, Rock and Roll Damnation, a lot of deep cuts that I just loved. And he didn't stage hog either. He didn't talk a lot between songs and stuff. It was cool.
Nice.
He
Yeah.
doesn't need to buy time like Vince Neil.
I'm just gonna, if you have nothing nice to say nothing at all. That's what I was taught, and I'm gonna stick to that with that one.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I have no problem saying Vince Neil's a bum. Who's he gonna do? Attack me? I'm in a Central Pennsylvania metal band.
Right?
What do I matter?
Yeah, you're right. Fuck it, why not? I just, he's as recently as 2018, he sucker punched a woman in the face. So I mean, there's
Oh.
that. He killed a man in 1983, and that gets
That he did
overlooked.
do.
And I'm
Did you?
friends with people who were really good friends with that guy. So when the dirt came out, that was not a good time.
With Razzle.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm
really?
friends with a lot of the UK and European glam bands like Wrathchild UK. I'm friends with Stevie James, the original singer for Tiger Tails, etc. Those guys are really good friends of mine.
The deep cut.
That's a deep cut. Tiger Tails is a deep.
Wrathchild
deep
UK
cut.
actually predate Motley Crue.
Yeah.
And my late great friend Kelv Hellraiser, who was a writer for the UK mags over there in the 80s, he was Poison's first manager.
They all wanted to be Michael Monroe and Robin Zander. That's it.
The
They all wanted to be him.
most famous person I'm friends with is Ricky Rocket. That's all I got.
I know Ricky Rocket's nephew.
I bought butterfly knives from Ricky Rocket's father.
There you go.
He used to have a stand down at Saturday's Market. I didn't know it was his dad. And I was buying this, I was whatever, teenager. I probably wasn't even old enough to buy the damn knife. And,
They're also illegal.
yeah.
So I mean,
And I was just shopping and he was like, oh, hey, look at my son's new truck. And he had like this photograph. And it was like this nice red Ford or whatever. And the whole bed of the truck was like this ridiculous sound system, right? And I was like, oh, that's pretty sweet. And he's like, yeah, and here's my son standing next to it. And I like double taked and I'm like, is that fucking Ricky Rocket? And he's, yeah, it's my kid. I'm like, no shit.
when my dad was in tech school in Philly, he worked at an auto mechanic shop because he was going to be a mechanic. And one time Poison's van came in, he had to fix it. And Brett Michaels tried to get it for free. And my dad was like, I went to Northern, you went to Mechanicsburg. There is no way you're getting this for free.
It's funny because I think Cece's the only one who's not from PA because Matt Smith,
Right.
Yeah, they had Matt
but
Smith
Cece's
as
from
the
Brooklyn, I think.
Mhm.
I like his solo stuff. I'd rather hear that, to be honest.
No.
What this? What was it called? Samantha 7 or something like that?
Yeah, I love it. He has such a great voice. I don't know what it is, but I like his singing voice.
Well, he was in a punk band before he joined. Like "Talk Dirty to Me" is a punk song.
Yeah,
And he
it has the same. It has the same chords, just played different as "God Save the Queen."
and he brought it to the band. Like there's recordings of his previous band doing it. I know
Wow.
Brett tries to claim it, but
It's crazy though, because the punks and the metalheads always kind of hated each other. But as you guys are evidence of, I've never gotten the hate. I've always liked both.
I like Poison. I think Poison's fine.
I love Poison.
Yeah.
They're
I
a
think
good
they're
rock and roll band. They
Yeah.
have a very punky influence. I think that's why I kind of gravitated towards them. I'm more into those bands than I am the Warrants and the Rats and stuff.
It was like Poison and Warrant were like my two big hair metal, I guess
Yep.
you could call it.
Yeah.
I guess that is what it is.
Yeah.
Those were
I
my
was
two
always
big
into more of
ones.
the LA.
Well, and
Guns.
Skid Row. I don't know what do they fall in hair?
They kinda do, yeah.
Absolutely.
don't anyone argue that Skid Row wasn't a hair band.
Yeah,
They were
They
absolutely.
are. They definitely were. I mean, they
Slave
got
to the
heavy-
Grind is not hair band music though.
No,
It is.
I don't
I think
think.
it is, but
Listen,
Definitely their first record.
Pantera used to be a hair band.
Yeah,
Eddie
true.
Vedder
Yeah.
used to be a hair.
Yeah.
I actually prefer that than what they did later, to be honest. I do like Down though.
it Down's
Down's
cool.
great. I would love to meet Phil and Summer was my main inspiration for my dirty vocal sound. So I mean, I
I think they just announced Down for Blue Ridge.
really
Yeah.
dang.
Yeah.
Might
I'm
go
actually
over.
another band that you guys might like then. I Hate God.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just like to watch the singer.
yeah,
And all those videos they put on Facebook dancing to other songs. The Running Man.
right.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
I'm friends with Mike IX, and he actually gave me a blurb for my poetry record to help promote it, and I've only sold
Nice.
2 copies. So But no,
There you
it's
go.
funny because their music is so goddamn intense, but they're such nice guys. It trips people.
Wasn't he also the one that was like, "Are you all ready to have a good time?" And the crowd cheers, and he's like, "Well, that was the last band. We're here to have a bad time."
Yeah.
I don't know if that was him that said that, but that's fucking hysterical.
I saw them open for Cannibal Corpse, and I was just like, that dude scares me.
Corpse Grinder scares me.
No, this guy came out. He's like freaking Arnold Schwarzenegger. He just rips his shirt off. He's in like short gym
That's
shorts, and I'm like, oh my god, he's gonna kill us all.
Dude literally could just eat. He could break me in half.
Yeah.
Oh my
If
God.
that dude so much looked at me crooked, my soul would be evaporated from my body.
He's like the
would
death
be-
metal version of Henry Rollins back when Henry
Yes.
Rollins
For
was a Black
sure.
Flag. You know, fucking
Even now, Henry's still fucking massive.
yeah, I know.
Sidebar. Do you know the bassist for Anthrophobia was the bassist for Black Flag on the My War tour when he was 17 years old?
What the
Yeah.
fuck?
I just
There's a
talked to
lot of
him.
shit like that happened. I think Dave Grohl was in this Scream when he was like 16.
Yeah.
Duff
Yeah.
joined the Farts in Seattle when he was like 14.
Yeah, Duff was huge into the punk scene.
Yeah, I'm friends with some of
ACC's
his childhood friends. Blaine
We know
Cook-
a guy who toured with the Misfits back in like the CBGB heyday, who's
Yeah.
lives up in Mechanicsburg, and he put vocals down on a track for us.
Oh,
He was
wow.
with the Victims,
Nice.
Yeah.
yeah, not the UK Victims.
Yeah. Just like Wrathchild. I'm friends with the UK one, not the American.
Right.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny because I think when I mentioned them, some people get them confused. I'm like, no, I'm talking about the British one. They're like, oh.
Yeah.
But anyway, guys, thank you very much. I will get links. You can send them to Cindy and she can send them to me or whatever, however it works. I'll put it in the description. Guys, if you like what we're doing, hit the like and subscribe button. If you're going to go out and catch any local shows in the Mechanicsburg area, go check these guys out for a unique, fun experience or something that'll leave you absolutely, what the hell did I just see? Either way, it's good. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Andy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Until next time, I'm Andi Thunders, and this was Defiant. Cheers.